Game music. It's the melodic element designed to captivate our emotions and immerse us in the world of the game. The way it harmonizes with the visuals helps to deliver a truly memorable experience. Sometimes, these songs are reborn in brilliant new form. Welcome to Melodies of Gaming, a musical series that explores reimagined songs and official game titles and how they capture the essence of the action. In this episode, we will examine the music of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition for various platforms and how the reprised themes have changed from the GameCube original. I'm Matthew Kierkegaard, but you may know me as Peach Toadstool.
And I'm Tom Arnold. Hey everyone!
For today, we have the great pleasure of introducing Rebecca Tripp, a creative composer and remixer from Overclocked Remix on YouTube, specializing in the philosophy and psychology of video game music.
Hi.
Now, let's begin this melodious journey.
With the incredible success of the Final Fantasy flagship series, inspiration for creative spin-offs and companion games swelled within the heart of Square, and later Square-Enix. One of these was Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, released in 2003 for the GameCube. This real-time RPG adventure in charming 3D anime style was the first title set in the Final Fantasy universe for a Nintendo home console since the Super NES era.
As the story goes, the world was consumed by deadly miasma from a catastrophic event. All of its inhabitants sought to find refuge by the fragments of the great crystal that had the power to ward off the poison. To restore the limited protective power of the crystals, travelers set off from their hometowns in caravans to collect myrrh, dew from the myrrh trees that naturally drive back the miasma. The protagonist of the adventure starts in the village of Tida as the offspring of one of the 4 humanoid races of the world: the well-rounded Clavets, the small but mighty Lilties, the reclusive magical Ukes, and swift and svelte Selkies. Many staples from the world of Final Fantasy made an appearance, such as materia equipped for casting spells, Phoenix Down to revive fallen comrades, and the ever-cuddly Moogles.
The soundtrack was written by Kumi Tanioka, known for her work on Final Fantasy XI. Deviating from the grand orchestral style of the main series, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles embraced medieval and Renaissance folk genres and European instruments of that time, such as the crumhorn, a bent reed instrument resembling a cane and sounding like a cross between an oboe and a kazoo. The opening and ending themes featured the vocal talents of Yae Fujimoto and Donna Burke for the Japanese and English versions respectively. They set the stage for the cultural tones of the game, showing heavy Celtic influences.
The positive reception of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles inspired the creation of new installments in the series. These included Ring of Fates for the Nintendo DS in 2007, My Life as a King as a WiiWare title in 2008, Echoes of Time for the DS and Wii in 2009, My Life as a Dark Lord as another WiiWare title later in the year, and The Crystal Bears for the Wii at the end of the year.
About a decade passed since the last new installment, but at E3 2019, Square-Enix revealed a trailer of an HD port of the GameCube adventure that started it all, much to the surprise of fans of the series. Titled Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition, it released in 2020 for the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, iOS, and Android. It contains everything from the original, but features online multiplayer, costumes, new items, and of course improved graphics and sound. Perhaps the biggest of the additions are the 13 new dungeons, serving as more difficult versions of all but the final of the established dungeons.
The soundtrack also received some improvements, as well as new themes. To create these, Kumi Tanioka collaborated with Hidenori Iwasaki, who composed the music for the Crystal Bears. Yae Fujimoto and Donna Burke reprised their roles for the opening and ending themes for higher quality recordings of the songs. But the majority of the new musical tracks are heard in the new dungeons. Of the 13 new arrangements, 3 of them stand out to us.
Very close to the starting village of Tifa is the River Belle Path, the very first hostile site on our grand adventure to collect myrrh. It's an abandoned trail along a riverbank that became a place where monsters dwell. Appropriately titled Depature, the peaceful, yet cautioning, music that plays here is one of the most iconic pieces in the game.
Straight away, this charming composition is very suggestive of music from the British Isles during the Middle Ages, with recorders, lute, and other regional instruments playing in the key of D minor. A common practice of the genre, the A section ends with the brighter major chord of the key. The B section does not differ much, but it uses some new phrases and slightly different percussion. The uilleann pipes in the C section create a nice change of flavor, but the rest of the instruments follow the same basic structure as before. This theme works well for an introductory adventuring area. It captures the feeling of wandering in an environment just off the beaten path.
The River Belle path has a post-game alternate dungeon with a location set in autumn called Falling Leaves Path. As indicated by the title, fall foliage decorates the entire area as countless leaves drift in the breeze. The music returns slightly arranged with different audio balances and the faint sound of wind blowing through the riverbank. The B section is roughly the same as the source, but it features a crumhorn instead of more recorders. In addition, there is heavier percussion in the C section with bagpipes. And then again in the now chorused woodwinds playing the same phrases. This is one of the most subtle of the arrangements, but the effect works for being the first of the new dungeons, containing not many changes to the River Belle path other than the aesthetics and higher difficulty.
Tida Village is a settlement that fell when its crystal caravan did not return home with the myrrh to revitalize the local crystal. With the power of the crystal depleted and no longer able to protect them, all of the villagers died from the miasma that inevitably crept in. Over time, the houses became dilapidated, and the village became covered in poisonous fungi and plagued by the undead.
This strange feeling looms in the beginning amidst the loose and sparkling percussion, almost like there's unsettling anticipation to find something lurking in the secluded darkness. The chorded droning that comes in moments later sounds equally mystical and foreboding. Yes, this land seems both forbidden and treacherous. Just before the melody hits, there's an ethereal embellishment that sounds ghostly, like an unseen presence is watching us. Woe to those who venture into this accursed place. A kawala ornée plays the lead in the F-sharp Phrygian scale, while layered low-fidelity drums pads the section. This set of phrases and the Duduk woodwind phrase that follows give an exotic supernatural feeling of despair. The villagers are all dead now. They should have fled while they still could.
After the repeat, a mysterious glissando cues the bridge. It's filled with low tremolo strings that hover for a while before an eerie echoed accent leads us to a new section. These add to the suspense, having us question what other horrors await. With the advent of the high strings, the situation appears all the more grave, as though we've realized that we're in over our heads. In the C section, this is made more apparent with the dissonance throughout. We are completely immersed in something we really don't understand. It conflicts with our conception of the living world. We just want to find the way through, and quickly. The lull just before the loop serves to accentuate the sense of magic. It gives off an air of mystery, as though whatever magical persons or force vanished suddenly. Finally, the process repeats, as if it were all a strange dream without a beginning or an end.
Serving as the counterpart to Tida, Oblivion Village in the Remastered edition features time orbs. Activating them changes the environment for a few seconds to how it was just before nearby chests were raided by treasure hunters. Like the previous arrangement, the music has different sound mixing levels, but the most significant change is the added voice lead, presented like a mournful or devout prayer. It enhances the feeling of presence, both the spiritual residue of what was lost and the malevolence that filled the void. The combination of the singing with the modified lo-fi drums feels extremely trance-like, reminiscent of magical practices, altered states, and other such supernatural concepts. There's an essence of sincerity about the presentation, like it's communicating the villagers' dedication and sacrifice.
The low tremolo strings that originally appeared in the source's bridge to the next section are incredibly faint here. Whatever remains of them is soon dominated by a chamber choir of a few singers with a high strings ensemble. This pattern continues into the final section, where more vocals replace the strings, keeping the choir as the focus of the arrangement. We safely can say that both versions of the theme are hauntingly beautiful.
Built by the Ukes in the secluded highlands, the Veo Lu Sluice is a system of basins, channeling water from Lake Shella to the Jagan River by pump flowers. This process is instrumental to the irrigation of the fields of Foom, a key source of the world's food. The title of the music that plays at this life-sustaining creation translates to promised moisture, otherwise known as promised grace.
The piece starts as an upbeat, bouncy rondo in D minor, with sections presented in A, B, A, C, A, D format. The crumhorn and woodwind uniform melody kicks in with spirited confidence as staccato contrabass and vivacious percussion fill out the A section. Despite the fact that this area belongs to a different set of peoples, the composition retains its Western European medieval influences. This is reinforced in the repeat of the phrase with a crumhorn that provides the counter melody. The B section is more simplified, utilizing a woodwind duet and basic triangle, and then layering with a shaker in the phrase repeat. It shows a more intimate, inquisitive side to the piece. A bridge leading back to the A section adds the bass pizzicato strings, feeling like a natural progression for the transition.
The softer C section feels distinctly playful, enhancing the sense of exploration, adventure, and curiosity. It introduces a harp or lyre as a solo recorder flits about before it transforms into a harmonious duet with the plucked strings switching to broken chord arpeggios. The same bridge as before fits beautifully here to return to the A section once again. The D section has the most radical change with persistent harp runs and the high woodwinds soaring on the A Phrygian scale. The combination is extremely longing, beautiful and ethereal, filled with a sense of hope. It feels as though it represents flowing water in harmony with nature. Perhaps the whole piece has been leading up to this moment, to the true showpiece of the composition, the precious water. The atmosphere and dynamics of this track fit so well for the fresh, natural environment amongst the evergreens. It feels alive and positive, much like the nature of the sluice.
As a bit of a cameo, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles The Crystal Bearers had a striking remix of the theme of Veo Lu Sluice called the Selkie Tango. It played during a special event when the hero Leo would dance with the Selkie when crossing the ballroom to reach Althea, the princess of Alphataria. Like its namesake, the source was rearranged for this event in exceptional tango style. In the remastered edition of the first adventure, the sluice dries up during the 5th year, requiring us to revive the pump flowers to restore the flow of water. Accompanying this dried sluice is a new theme not heard in the original. However, it's an entirely different piece and unrelated to the source. After the task is complete and the boss is defeated again, the sluice returns to its former condition, at least for the normal mission.
The post-game dungeon alternate state of the site is the frozen sluice. As the name implies, the water is frozen over and large chunks of ice block certain paths. The chilly lumps could be destroyed by magic or weapons, but the basins remain impenetrable. As one may expect, the music is a wintry take on the original. At the beginning is a sort of expectancy, which is sustained by the extended intro. The familiar melody comes, but not the full phrase, instead prolonging that anticipation. The chimes add a whimsical and magical element in contrast to the more earthly aspects, almost as though the composition were trying to let us know that we are in an icy locale. When the A section hits with the melody, there is this raw, hearty feeling about it, as to suggest that we're in the thick of it, but we can make it through. The repeat of the phrase includes a mallet layer, adding to the heft and tying in to the bitter cold atmosphere. As the intensity builds before releasing into the now chiming B section with added violin in the repeated phrase, the piece draws a greater contrast between the ordinary and mythical, almost as though to say, this is an enchanted place, but we are here on a mission. Back to the A section, the mallet is already present, but a fiddle layer debuts for the phrase repeat this time. This escalation is creating a pattern of its own.
Much like the source, the C section evokes an investigative spirit. The added violin and bell layers in the phrase repeat add a more serious feel, which grows increasingly urgent, greatly reinforcing the sense of purpose at the buttressed return to the A section. Following the pattern, the previously added fiddle layer is present already, and then it is bolstered by the stringed harmony for the phrase repeat, all leading to the climax before the mysterious D section that lies beyond. Here, the Boron drum and classic sleigh bells emphasize that winter has claimed this region. They're soon followed by the violins enriching the sound. Rather than the flow of water, the beauty of the snowy expanse and crystalline pools takes center stage, sprinkled by thousands of snowflakes tumbling in the crisp, frigid air. Spring soon will come again, but for now we enjoy the snow-filled wonderland that the winter season brings to Veo Lu.
And with that, we've come to the end of this melodious journey. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition presented us with charming, subtle arrangements of classic themes from the original iconic locations. We would be intrigued to hear even more like these featured in the next Remastered Edition in the series. Many thanks go to Rebecca E. Tripp from Overclocked Remix for collaborating with us and helping with the amazing reprise heard at the end of this video. Check out the description to see how you can follow and support her.
Take care, everyone.
Goodbye!
That's all for this episode of Melodies of Gaming. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this musical analysis, consider giving it a like and let us know which reimagined game music you would like us to examine in the comments below, and we may feature it in a future episode. Please be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell if you haven't yet. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more Melodies of Gaming and other things gaming too. Until next time, ciao.